the commanding officer, or, if the incumbent is a general officer, commanding general, is the officer in command of a military unit. Typically, the commanding officer has ultimate authority over the unit, and is usually given wide latitude to run the unit as he or she sees fit, within the bounds of military law. In this respect, commanding officers have significant responsibilities, duties, and powers. In some countries, commanding officers may be of any commissioned rank. Usually, there are more officers than command positions available, and time spent in command is generally a key aspect of promotion. So the role of commanding officer is highly valued and, in theory, only goes to the best officers. The commanding officer is often assisted by an executive officer, a second-in-command, who handles personnel and day-to-day matters, and a senior enlisted advisor. Larger units may also have staff officers responsible for various responsibilities. United Kingdom, Canada and Australia, Army. In the British Army, Royal Marines, and many other Commonwealth military and paramilitary organisations, the commanding officer of a unit is appointed. Thus, the office of CO is an appointment. The appointment commanding officer is exclusive to commanders of major units. It is customary for a commanding officer to hold the rank of lieutenant colonel, and he or she is usually referred to within the unit simply as the colonel, or more commonly the CO. The colonel is usually an honorary appointment of a senior officer who oversees the non-operational affairs of a regiment. However, the rank of the appointment holder and the holder's appointment are separate. That is, not all lieutenant colonels are COs, and although most COs are lieutenant colonels, that is not a requirement of the appointment. Subunits, that is, company, squadron and battery, and formations do not have a commanding officer. The officer in command of a subunit holds the appointment officer commanding, or OC. Higher formations have commanders or a general officer commanding. Area commands have a commander-in-chief. The OC of a subunit is customarily a major, though again the rank of the appointment holder and the holder's appointment are separate and independent of each other. In some cases, independent units smaller than a subunit, e.g., a platoon of military police that reports directly to a formation such as a brigade, will also have an OC appointed. In these cases, the officer commanding can be a captain or even a lieutenant. Appointments such as CO and OC may have specific powers associated with them. For example, they may have statutory powers to promote soldiers or to deal with certain disciplinary offenses and award certain punishments. The CO of a unit may have the power to sentence an offender to 28 days detention, whereas the OC of a subunit may have the power to sentence an offender to 3 days restriction of privileges. Units smaller than subunits, i.e., platoons, troops and sections, are not specific appointments, and officers or NCOs who fill those positions are simply referred to as the commander's leader, e.g. platoon commander, troop leader, section commander, leader, etc. Royal Air Force. In the Royal Air Force, the title of commanding officer is reserved for station commanders or commanders of independent units. As with the British Army, the post of a commander of a lesser unit such as an administrative wing, squadron or flight is referred to as the officer commanding. Navy. In the Royal Navy, commanding officer is the official title of the commander of any ship, unit or installation. However, they are referred to as the captain, no matter what their actual rank, or informally as skipper, or even boss. United States. In the United States, the status of commanding officer is duly applied to all commissioned officers who hold lawful command over a military unit, ship, or installation. Army. The commanding officer of a company, usually a captain, is referred to as the company commander. The commanding officer of a battalion is usually a lieutenant colonel. The commanding officer of a brigade, a colonel, is the brigade commander. At the division level and higher, however, the commanding officer is referred to as the commanding general. as these officers hold general officer rank. Although holding command in the same sense as other officers, the individual in charge of a platoon, the smallest unit of soldiers led by a commissioned officer, typically a second lieutenant, is referred to as the platoon leader, not the platoon commander. This officer does have command of the soldiers under him but does not have many of the command responsibilities inherent to higher echelons. For example, a platoon leader cannot issue non-judicial punishment. Non-commissioned officers may be said to have charge of certain smaller military units. They cannot, however, hold command as they lack the requisite authority granted by the head of state to do so. Warrant officers in the United States Armed Forces are single career track officers that can, and occasionally do, hold command positions within certain specialty units, i.e., Special Forces and Army Aviation. However, warrant officers usually do not command if a commissioned officer is present. Normally they serve as executive officer. Marine Corps. The commanding officer of a company, usually a captain, is referred to as the company commander of the battery commander. The commanding officer of a battalion or a squadron is usually a lieutenant colonel. The commanding officer of a regiment, aviation group, or marine expeditionary unit, a colonel, is the regimental group MEU commander. At the Marine Expeditionary Brigade, Marine Logistics Group, Marine Division, Marine Aircraft Wing, Marine Expeditionary Force, and Fleet Marine Force levels. However, the commanding officer is referred to as the commanding general, as these officers hold general officer rank. The officer in charge of a platoon, the smallest tactical unit of Marines usually led by a commissioned officer, typically a first or second lieutenant, is referred to as the platoon commander. This distinction in title also applies to officers who are aircraft commanders, as well as officers, staff non-commissioned officers, and non-commissioned officers who are tank and armored vehicle commanders. While these officers, SNCOs and NCOs, have tactical and operational command of the Marines and equipment in the charge, they are not accorded the legal authority of a commanding officer under the UCMJ military regulations. Navy. In the United States Navy, commanding officer is the official title of the commander of a ship, but he or she is usually referred to as the captain, regardless of his or her actual rank. He or she may be informally referred to as skipper, though allowing or forbidding the use of this form of address is the commanding officer's prerogative. Air Force. In the United States Air Force, the commanding officer of a unit is similarly referred to as the unit commander, such as squadron commander, group commander, wing commander, and so forth.